Is this right or is this wrong? What should I do? This is a question I get a lot in my counseling center. And today I want to challenge you to think about it a little bit differently. I'm Natasha Visser, and remember to click that subscribe button. Now, we tend to think in the extremes. Is this right or is this wrong? Now, let's look at sex. That's what my topic is mostly about. Is sex right or wrong? And how do we ask, when our kids ask us this, is it right or wrong? Is it good or bad? Why are we talking about these extreme things? I believe sex is beautiful. Sex is right. But sex is beautiful when it's in a marriage, in a committed marriage, the way God designed it. And He designed it for a specific purpose in a marriage. So if we do it the right way, okay, in marriage, that is right. But sex can be wrong if we do it the wrong way. So how do we explain this for kids without being too complicated, okay? And just trying to put an L and you going to hell and all those crazy talk we tend to go into. I want to ask you not to focus on right or wrong, but to focus on what's the wise thing to do. So let's look at a 14-year-old. Is it right or wrong for a 14-year-old to have sex? Okay, that's not a good question to ask. Is it a wise thing to have sex when you're 14? When we think about all the advantages and disadvantages of having sex at 14, maybe that's not the wisest things to do. So what I normally tell kids is I know for now, but not know forever. So when you're 14, it's good to say no to sex. Maybe sex is a bad thing in that situation. But it's a wise decision to say no for now, but not no forever. So we tend to think about these extremes. And one of the greatest things my dad always talked about when I was young is when he said we do not put a two in front of anything. So in Afrikaans it's a t, but in English it's a two. Too much or too little. If you have a too much or too little in front of anything, that is when it becomes wrong. So too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, all right? So we want to teach our children to not put a two in front of any word. So anything good can become bad if we put a two in front of it. Too much or too little. So this week you can just teach your children, don't put a two in front of it. Too much or too little. That's a good guideline to make wise decisions when you grow older. So another good example is what Dave Ramsey, I'm going to quote him here. He says, money just exposes the character within. This is again, too much, too little. Is too much money good or bad? Is too little money good or bad? I don't know. But the lack of money, of the two, or too much or too little of money, will actually expose the character. So where are we focusing on, the money or the character? Can you see that's where the wisdom lies? Okay, so try to explain to your kids about wisdom and making wise decisions for the time they are in their lives. Now, I attended a coaching session the other day with great coaches, and they explain it virtue and vice. So we tend to say right or wrong. Is it a virtue or a vice? Is it good or bad? And actually, I love how they explain it. They say it's like a river. Virtue is the river in the middle, but the borders are the vice on the left hand and the right hand side. So the left side is too much, on the right side too little, or whichever way around, okay? So you want to be virtuous, making sure you're going through the stream of life and doing the right, wise thing in your circumstances. Too much or too little is actually a vice. So you're getting into dangerous wrongdoings when it's extreme. We just think about left or right, but the vices is left or right, but the virtue is in the middle. I think that's a beautiful explanation. So let's help our children make wise decisions and not just telling them right from wrong. Rather inspire them to think about their decisions. We want to get our children to think, not respond. So when we are saying right or wrong, we tend to just reacting to certain situations in the moment and saying, being rigid, right or wrong. We want them to think. And I want you to inspire your children to think about what is the wise thing to do. What's in the river, okay, in the middle, okay? Not going in the extreme of the vices, left or right, but in the middle, what's the virtue? What is the right what is the wise thing to do, not the right thing to do, okay? The wise thing to do. Because there's always certain things that we need to think about before we act. So we tend to react and not respond. And I think when we focus on wise decisions, we respond better rather than reacting. Thanks for listening to today, and I hope to see you soon again.